Hi, I'm Susan Kennard and welcome to the Spiritual Awakener. This is a podcast where I get to talk to incredible people who have had turning points in their life or a spiritual awakening that has led them to realize there was so much more than this mind and body. I'm excited to talk to my next guest. In fact, I'm honored to talk to my next guest because she took me down a journey many years ago, which has definitely enlightened me. So please welcome Silvia Hartmann to the Spiritual Awakener. Morning, Silvia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Susan. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's lovely to see you because obviously we're in contact on Messenger and Facebook, but we haven't actually seen each other for a while. So it's really nice to see you once again. So Silvia, we're going to talk about who you are, but when you've done that, could you tell us about yes, we're laughing. So for the purpose of those listening rather than seeing the video of this, because this goes across my social media and Silvia's social media, if you're listening to it, she's actually laughing because when you think about who someone is, they are just so much more than who they're going to say they are. But just for the purpose of this podcast, from the spiritual aspect. Yeah, we could be here for days, Silvia, couldn't we? Okay, so Silvia, tell us who you are, what you stand for.
I'll give that a go. I am currently I am a 60-year-old woman who came originally from Germany and has worked and lived in the United Kingdom since 1978. And I am a German person, and all the prejudices about German people applies quite nicely to me. I love to be logical, I love to be methodical, I love to be systemical, and I don't like nonsense at all.
Fluffy. Silvia doesn't like fluffy. She doesn't like fluffy.
I don't know, fluffy's fine. I have a fluffy blanket, I have fluffy socks.
Fluffy people.
I am wearing fluffy socks as we speak. I have no problems with fluffy. I have problems with delusions, with make-believe, with insanity, with chaos, with stress, with stupidity, a huge problem with stupidity. But that's generally linked to stress. So I've calmed down a bit on
a little bit on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit on that one. I've always been really interested in how the world works. Yeah. And I decided to be a scientist from a very young age. And I did really well at school because that's easy. And I was going to go and be a scientist. And I wanted to be a medical doctor, which was astonishing. But, you know, little children, what can you say? And that didn't kind of happen. I had the qualifications to be a doctor in Germany, to start studying, but I fell in love with an Englishman. And I went to England and went into that system of how we start studying here. Yeah. And in the very first year, I just started a total riot over the killing of rats for the dissection of rats.
Yes. Yeah.
And it became clear to me that this was not the path I was going to follow. It was just didn't make sense. It didn't feel right. It was just wrong for me in every shape or form. So I went away and thought, well, what am I going to do with myself then? And I somehow got then involved with animal behavior.
Mm.
And I used to do dog training classes and do animal behavior consultations. I've written stacks of books about dog behavior and dog training and animal behavior in general.
Can people find those on your website, or can they find them on Amazon?
I don't think that they're even, I mean, some of them are still in print because they're really popular, like Your Dog and Your Baby, a practical guide.
Your Dog and Your Baby, a practical guide.
You'd be surprised how many people get freaked out when they, get pregnant. And the grandparents or the social workers or everybody is chiming in how they now need to get rid of the dog. And, pregnant women get totally freaked out very quickly. They love their dogs. And so this is one of those things that I got more phone calls about than
we just got a puppy. We just got a puppy, little Buddy, and he's 12 weeks and he's just a joy. So I get the whole thing about dogs now.
And also, You know, and if you happen to have been pregnant with your first child, and then you can imagine all the hygiene questions, all that stuff. Anyway,
Yes.
that book's been in print since 1991, I think.
Wow.
And it continues to sell, but I don't do dog behavior anymore.
No, you don't.
I was asked who I am, so here we go. I was really deeply involved in this animal business, and I was the end of a referral chain for all the other animal behaviorists around me. When they couldn't cope, they'd send the dog to me. And I also got involved with a research project back in the day. We shall leave out who that was run by and what was going on there. But we were told that we were looking for the cause of rage syndrome.
Rage syndrome.
Right. So there was generally an idea like Cocker Spaniels get it and what have you. But actually, if you really look at the statistics, there isn't a breed that's exempt from it. They can all develop so-called rage syndrome. And I honestly thought, poor little naive me, that was the purpose of the study.
Right.
Well, it turns out it wasn't. It was sponsored by a dog food company who wanted us to basically change animals' food and prove that their behavior would improve if you changed the food.
Wow.
That's what they really wanted. But I didn't know that. I thought we were honestly trying to find the cause for rage syndrome.
So you're looking at stats and so on, and looking at how many dogs have that.
And had my individual cases that I picked out from, you know, the United Kingdom that I was working with, where dogs had shown this totally out of control behavior, where they would attack, you know, another dog that they'd lived with all their lives, or the owners, or perhaps an old cat and tore it to pieces, and just had displayed this rage syndrome. And and there I found the cause for it. We did all sorts of things. We did nutritional studies and genetics and caretaking and pesticides, and you name it, we did it. But I found the actual cause for it, and the cause for it was the invisible something. That's what we used to call it. Because there is actually an exchange of an invisible something between at least social mammals. There's something invisible being traded between them. And when this invisible something, when there's something happens in the relationship, and there is not of this flow of this invisible something between creatures in a relationship, they become consecutively more and more stressed.
Yes.
And when that stress reaches critical proportions, that's when you get rage syndrome.
Yeah. And so people listening to this, if you're listening to this and feeling that feels something that you are experiencing, and especially because you're having to stay in with your families at the moment, just for this, you know, beautiful global awakening that's happening, but also you're having to stay in your homes and be with your families. Have you been experiencing that, inverted commas, rage syndrome? Maybe you have.
I've got here a little modern energy chart.
Oh yeah, so Silvia's holding up for the purpose of the recording.
This is
the chart.
This is the progression of the effect of this invisible exchange. And there we have the stress, and the stress gets worse and it gets worse. And then we have this explosion.
Yeah, like a volcano. So for the purpose of the listening to the audio.
For the purpose of the listening people, this explosion can be an anger attack in people. When we're talking about people now, it can be an anger attack. When somebody just snaps and bang. It can be a panic attack.
Yeah.
It can be what used to be called a nervous breakdown.
Yes.
Where people just totally lose the plot and roll around on the carpet like a lunatic.
Yeah.
But that's all the same thing. That is what they called rage syndrome in dogs. And I found the cause of it, which was the invisible something. And the buildup of stress that the lack of the invisible something was causing.
And what's this invisible something?
That's an interesting question. I didn't know what it was, but I realized that it was real. And that was, you're asking about the big enlightenment moment, the big aha moment.
Yes.
When
Wow.
I all of a sudden saw it, I all of a sudden saw it.
That was
And
your light bulb. Wow.
It was my light bulb moment. It was a situation where there was a dog that was really totally insane from all standpoints you might like to look at. And I asked myself the question, why are these people persevering with that dog? Why are they still putting themselves through this nightmare?
Yeah.
And the answer just exploded into my head. It was love.
Yeah.
They loved the dog. They loved it. They were in a relationship with the dog, with this exchange of energies that was so powerful that it not only drove the destructive behavior of the dog, it also drove the behaviors of the owners.
Yes. Yeah.
Every decision they were making was being driven by this invisible something. And this invisible something is love. And at that moment, then I went and rushed into my study, this story of, I had all of the dog behavior or animal behavior, people behavior books and printouts on the shelf back in the day before we had electronic documents.
Yeah.
And I took out one after the other and I looked for that word. And I did not find that word love.
Wow.
In any of them, not in any of them.
Yeah.
Here I had a behavior library of the ages. And the one thing that drives behavior wasn't in any of them.
Wow. So what happened then? What happened?
Well, then I went to my sort of the guy who was in charge of that research, who got all the money from the dog food company, which I was totally unaware of, and excitedly showed him this. And he said, this is absolute bullshit, go away. Don't ever dare to speak of this again. And I said, but you know this is right. You know I'm right. This is the answer. This is how it works. And he said, yeah, but if you think that I'm going to rewrite all my dissertations, you've got another thing coming.
Wow.
And the aspect just had a complete meltdown.
Yeah.
I mean, trauma, massive.
Yeah. In that moment.
I saw how it all worked. I saw the lies. I saw the forbidden psychology. And I realized what I'd done was utter heresy.
Yeah.
I was absolutely a heretic, and if they were still burning people on the stake today, they would have.
I'm with you on that one, Silvia.
People were advised never to buy my books again.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to advertise in any of the dog training magazines, or, you know, they used their influence to absolutely try and silence me.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really, really amazing. I mean, I just lost my entire business from one day to the next.
As well, Silvia, you know, just to say, like, you know, what's actually happening today is when people dare to speak from their heart, speak their truth, quite often there will be I've had it happen to me, haven't I, when I was on that BBC Two documentary. And, you know, I stood up and said, this is how it works with energy. And people were like, no, you know, you can't say that.
It's forbidden science. We're dealing here with 100% forbidden science.
Yes.
It's forbidden. It's forbidden to study it. As a scientist, we're not allowed to talk about it. The thing is, with my modern energy chart, it is a scientific instrument. It has stood the test of time. As a measuring technique for behavior and stress, correlating behavior and stress, in all ways, it works perfectly. It is replicable across religions, races, educational levels. You can also use it on dolphins, horses, cats, and dogs. And that shows you how deeply structural these energy exchanges, at the very least between social mammals, really are. This is structure, this is science we're dealing with here.
And it is all about love, isn't it? You know, and especially.
And the key to this is love, yes, the absence of energy or love causes creatures to become better versions of themselves. the presence of, the more love a creature has, the more energy a creature has, the better a version of itself it becomes.
Yeah, exactly.
And when there's an absence of energy, they become a worse version of themselves. And that is true for every single one of us.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that is
Self-love, isn't it,
yeah,
Sylvia?
and
Self-love is really important as well. I just want to say for people listening, you know, Silvia Hartmann is actually the president of the Guild of Energists. Okay, so yeah, we didn't say that at the start, and I just really my guides were kicking in and going, you need to say what
mention that
actually you know, represents. So she's not someone just talking about something she thinks. Yeah, there's a big E for the purpose of people listening. Big E.
Yeah, that's our logo. It's nice
logo.
and square. It's not a unicorn dancing around among the tulips with fairies. It's a big square E, because energy is real. What we do is absolutely 100% scientific. It's correct. It just happens to be forbidden science at this time.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute master key to, when you understand how this works, not only can you take much more control of your own emotions.
Yeah.
There's an escalation chain that takes us down, you know, and there are stages to this escalation. And in the beginning stages, we can actually interrupt it. By the time we're screaming and shouting and tearing our hair out, it's too late. You know, it's like you've gone over the waterfall and you've lost control, and then you just have to wait until it has passed, whatever it is, the panic attack, the anxiety attack, the nervous breakdown, the screaming fit, the self-mutilation, all of those things. Yeah, all of those things are these -7 states. And then we have to have another go and see if we can do better tomorrow. But it does give us, see, the other part to this is, what I had discovered, this escalation chain that leads to rage syndrome. What I had discovered there was the negative side of what we now call the positive energy chart. And we started then experimenting with these worst of the worst of the worst dogs, and just said nice things to them. We just sent them positive energy, gave them positive attention. You know, you are a good dog, you are beautiful, I love you. Here, have a piece of cheese. And the behaviors of these dogs really changed. The bad behaviors went away and much better. But then this extraordinary flip happened. That one, if you kept going with this, even though the dog was already fairly well behaved, but you kept on going, giving this positive energy, the damn dogs had an awakening. They become more social. They listen to you more. There's sort of incidences of near telepathic communication with the animal. The animal was becoming a better version of itself.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is amazing, and it is replicable.
Yeah,
you can. It's absolutely 100% replicable. It doesn't take a prophet or a great healer. Every person can do that. Every person can raise another creature's energy by being positive, by being loving, by giving them positive attention.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling that you are in this place where you can't get out of the blame, you can't get out of that person did this to me, how am I ever going to get through in my life? Listen to what Sylvia's saying, because actually, you know, really give yourself gratitude for the fact that you can change this energy one little step at a time. It doesn't have to be all at once, but just notice how you feel when you start to love yourself a little bit more, or pick up that animal that you've got in your family, or give your child a hug. That is the first steps to actually raising your energy, raising your vibration, I would say. And you're actually starting to go up that little scale. So you're starting to walk up that ladder. And I think this is really key, that, you know, you might not get to feeling amazingly joyful in one moment, but you can definitely get yourself to the next step.
Okay, and so here we come one more time to my chart here. See, the problem that we're currently having is that it stops at 0. You know, like we're taught that 0 emotions, having no emotions at all, is the place what we're aiming for. And I have learned that this is untrue. +10, really high positive states of happiness
Yes.
is where we need to aim.
Yes.
Because if you aim for 0 and you fall short,
yeah,
you're sliding right back down into stress, into the negative energy states. And if you don't even know that what you're supposed to do is go and be happy, find ways of making yourself happy. You know, this word self-love isn't a favorite of mine. Love is an outgoing energy form. And we can't twist that back around onto ourselves. What we can do is we can love our past aspects, our future aspects. That's what we call past selves, you know, because I'm not the same as I was when I was 3 years old.
No.
And for me to say, I just wet my pants makes no sense. My 3-year-old aspect wet its pants. Right? So I'm here, I'm 60, and I'm talking about a 3-year-old aspect.
Yes.
This 3-year-old aspect that may be crying, I can now send love to.
So I quit compassion. So I say, like, we're giving compassion to that part of
energy, specific energy. Yeah. You know, whatever that aspect needs. Compassion, love, somebody, a hug, an energy hug, whatever. Yeah. But so we can send love to our aspects rather than trying to right now twist this outgoing.
I agree.
Love is an expansion of the heart center. It's an outgoing energy. And you try and take that and throttle it like a boa constrictor and somehow try and twist it back onto yourself is just really is not the way forward. You know, love is an outward going thing. But if you need self-love, then love your aspects. And that's easy, that's natural, and you can feel the results of that in your own body.
Absolutely.
But to go back here to my thing, I really need to tell you this. And I call that the revolution. It is a revolution. Currently, everything stops at 0. So if you're going to a psychologist, let's say, for treatment, the outcome of that treatment is not to have you dancing in the streets and waving your hands. The outcome of that treatment is that there should be no emotions, that you should no longer be in pain. And that may work wonderfully well for something, but it doesn't work for the living human energy body. The living human energy body is its goal state is to be alive, sparkling, firing on all cylinders. You know, sparkles in the aura, stars in your eyes, feelings of power in your physical body.
And passion.
Passion is part of that. Yes, positive passion. Really positively passionate. I was once talking to this American policeman, and he was like, "Oh, emotions are terrible. You mustn't have any emotions." And I realized when I was talking to him that when he used the word emotions, he only thought of negative emotions. And that's a part of this revolution that I'm asking here, is to bring that positive side back, because all the healing resides there. All the enlightenment resides there, but also all the intelligence. You can't
the clarity
straight at 0. You have 0 creativity, you have 0 intelligence, you have 0 intuition, you have 0 wisdom, and you have 0 love. That's not the place to be. And so I said to the American policeman, what about if a policeman came to a crime scene and they were really on song and they're really in tune with their gut instincts? Wouldn't that be good? And he said, "Oh yeah, I never thought of that, but that's not an emotion." I said, "Well, when you're happy, when you're really, you know, on song." And he said, "Yeah, I've had experiences of that. And that was amazing. And I could, I call that my gut, following my gut, but I just knew the guy was lying to me. And one time I actually found a knife in a crime scene under the leaves, and nobody could figure out how I could have found that."
Wow.
And I said, yes, that's emotions too. That's positive emotions. That's when we are firing on all cylinders. So good emotions. And the man was like, "Wow, never thought of that before." He was like 70. And I thought, but wouldn't that have been helpful?
But his inner being would have known that. So he would, you know, you guys were meant to meet at that time, so that his inner being went, oh, you know what, actually remember this, because you can have it too. Yeah.
Yeah, he understood it, how it worked.
Yeah.
See, the energy body, the real living energy body.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of needles, needly points.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of tiny, thin little lines. It's certainly not a bunch of chakras stacked up like dinner plates.
Yeah.
It is a living, complex system. It's a folding fountain bright.
Oh,
So complex, so beautiful, so expansive. And people have no idea they even got it. They have no idea how to deal with it. They have no idea how to feed it, to encourage it, to grow it. You know, it's extraordinary. But once people realize that they are not just a flesh bag wandering about on this planet waiting to become worm fodder, would actually, or a naked ape, or some sort of DNA procreating mechanical machine, which some people are still preaching.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what they have to say when their soul inquisition comes. But never mind.
Another conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
And also, what you're saying, I just want to say is that as you're looking, so you're listening to this on this podcast, and if you imagine yourself as this complete expansive energy, and that expansive energy is not just you. That is everything. So Silvia is me. I am Silvia. You're listening to this. I'm you, and you are me. And we are.
Well, we are definitely connected. We are definitely connected. This is how. Right? See, this is look. If you've got two energy bodies like that,
yeah,
and even though they seem separate in flesh,
yes, exactly,
their energy bodies make connections. This is, I call that a couple bubble in its easiest form. This is how long-term partners can read each other's minds. This is how, when you're riding a horse and you're really couple bubbled with it, you become like a centaur, you become one with it.
Yeah.
And this is how communication works between animals and people, because animals do not understand language. This comes from our real living energy bodies. And that is the, if there's one thing, you know, one message I would have for everybody else, well, understand that your energy body is a real body. It's got hands that can heal, that can touch other energy bodies. They can do energy healing. Now, healing hands don't do physical healing. They heal somebody else's energy body. And then the energy body is stronger, and sometimes physical healing can result from that.
And that's
that's
really
the
good
connection.
point,
you know,
Silvia.
this is the connection.
But that's a really good point, because I think a lot of people feel that they have to see someone to physically heal them. And it is more about your energy to help people to raise that energy. You'd call it that, wouldn't you? To really become more sparkly.
Do something for the energy body.
Yeah.
I take the metaphor of the body really seriously. The energy body has healing hands. It has a heart of energy that pulses and beats.
Yeah.
If your energy heart is broken, then you are in a big mess, because the symptoms across all your systems of mind, body, and spirit are going to be epic. So for beginners, I always advise to do heart healing. So if you go to my YouTube channel or anywhere else, there's always for beginners.
Tell us where that is, Silvia. Where's your YouTube channel? Is it under your name, or what's it under?
Yes, under my name. It's channel's called Silvia Hartmann.
Yeah, perfect.
So, yeah, we can start with the heart. But look, the energy body also has a head. This is really important, and a neurology. And that was previously known as the unconscious or subconscious mind. And we now call it the energy mind. Yeah. And so this body is serious. It's a body. It needs food. Yeah. It doesn't need handbags. It doesn't need ocean voyages that cost £10,000. You know, you can't feed it with gold. Yeah. It needs energy. It needs to, the energy body needs to eat energy. It needs to process that correctly. And then, you know, let the things flow back out again. It's a flow process. Yeah. It's a real body. And if you think how much time people spend worrying about their teeth and brushing their teeth and flossing their teeth and bleaching their teeth and bending their teeth, imagine you spend that much time on your actual living energy body.
Yeah.
what an awesome life you would have.
Yeah.
You know,
And
people
so
would
your
love
focus,
you. You know, they love you and they think you're amazing and they react to you and they
so your
come to you.
focus is there then. So your focus, so for people listening, so your focus is perhaps not so much on what is wrong with you or you want to
Not
change.
at all. Not at
No, I know,
all.
but for some people listening, they're like, well, this is
Yeah.
wrong with me. I don't like this. I don't like my body. I don't like that. You know, that's what you're physically seeing. If you come into it and really think about how are you feeding your energy body?
Mm.
How much love are you actually experiencing within your energy body and that feeling of it? And how much are you giving? How much are you experiencing in the world? That's a much better focus than what can I change, meaning my hair color. Well, at the moment we can't really do that anyway because we can't go to hairdressers. but
This
what
is not a problem that I have.
no, right. So
It's not a problem that I have. Well, look, I'm the energy guy. This was the thing for me. You asked right at the beginning sort of what my mission is, what I'm doing.
yeah,
I am the energy guy. I'm the guy who is shouting at people, you have a living energy body. It's alive. It's not something that you can really get to know by standing on one leg and pretending to be a snake for 30 years. You know, all this ancient stuff is fun in its own right.
Yeah.
But it's not here and now. You're not a Japanese farmer, goddammit. You know, you are a person in the 21st century with all this. Our energy systems are essentially different than those from our venerable forefathers.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They are. Our challenges are of a magnitude that our dear ancestors have absolutely no idea of.
Didn't we sign up to something amazing, Silvia?
Yeah, we did. But the point is that our living energy bodies need, shall we say, a more modern treatment.
Yeah.
A more individualized treatment. That's particularly important, that we get to learn about and see our energy body is what produces our emotions. That's at the heart of the forbidden science. Psychology doesn't even have a definition of emotions, which is extraordinary. You know,
And you
there's
know,
an
that was my
entire
previous
field.
life, don't you? You know, my background was psychology, psychotherapy, and that I feel like that's a previous life, you know, that
It
I
is,
lived.
you know, but they
Joyous.
don't even have a definition for emotions.
Yeah.
Modern energy clearly states, and it clearly states,
Yeah.
that all our emotions come from our living energy body.
Yeah.
And it literally is as simple as that when you're feeling good emotions, your energy body is happy. And when you're feeling bad emotions, your energy body is miserable.
Yeah.
And that's where emotions come from. So in order to get better emotions, make the energy body happier. How do you make the energy body happier? Not by standing around and pretending to be a snake for 30 years. That would bore the pants off your energy body.
So can you just talk a little bit, something that's coming to me and I want to ask you is a lot of people experience a lot of aches and pains. So they experience, physical, well, obviously they come out physically.
I can't really go any, look, I have to be here. Look, I'm a scientist. I am a scientist, and what we do in the Guild of Energists, and I'm sorry if that's not unicorn enough for people who are listening, but you know, there's lots of people that you interview.
As well.
You know, there's lots of people you interview who do the unicorns. I do clear-cut, hardcore German technology.
Yeah.
For mind, body, and spirit. And so, God, what we're talking about? Yes, this healing business.
Yeah.
Right. I do energy, and we work with the energy body. That's what we do.
So what I want
not because we want to cure cancer.
No.
We want. No, let me just finish this, because there's a thing here. Not because we want to cure cancer or anything else, but because the energy body deserves it. It deserves our unconditional attention in its own right.
Yeah.
So what we do is when somebody comes along and says, I've got 3 months to live, I've got cancer, can you heal me? We shall say this: I work with the energy body, only the energy body.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't know what component problem the energy body has to your existing health problem.
Yeah.
It could be 0%, which means that, let's say you have an ache somewhere.
Yeah.
And we do some energy work and it stays exactly the same. It hasn't shifted one little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 0%. Then we say, okay, this is not an energy body problem. Please go and see a doctor.
See, that's great. So if people listening, you know, actually, and I always say, you know, I'm not a doctor. So whenever I'm talking about this stuff, it's all really about you needing to take responsibility for your decisions. But what Silvia is saying is that actually it is possible that by working with your energy body that you can release some of this. You can, if it is.
So let me just conclude this quickly. So, right, 0%. If it changes a little bit, then perhaps 25% of the problem is energy body related.
Yeah.
And the other 75% is purely physical. Wear and tear, for example, or whatever, or something brewing. What do I know? I'm not a physician. But even the 25% improvement can cheer people up.
Yeah.
And obviously, the more happy the energy body, the more powerful the energy body can be, the more it can support the physical body.
Yes, I agree.
In its healing endeavors. But that's not our problem. But then there's these rare occasions where you have some physical thing going on and you do energy work and it completely disappears as if by magic. And that is when the entire problem was 100% an energy body problem in the first place.
Yeah.
That's very rare. You know, usually it's somewhere 25, 30%, 55%, something like that.
Yeah.
But I would always say, do some energy work. By all means, what the hell do you have to lose? Absolutely. What you learn is something about how much of this problem is an energy body problem, in brackets, an emotional problem or a psychological problem, close brackets. Really an energy body problem, and how much of it is physical. So that is where I make my stand on the healing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, look, one of the biggest problems for human beings is their emotional problems, their emotional scars.
Yeah.
And they are not in the physical body, they are not in the brain, they are literally in the energy body. There is an energy body and it has unhealed scars. Yeah. You know, like that guy in Bosnia, he'd been shot in the shoulder by a sniper. And all the doctors were telling us, 10 years ago, all the doctors were telling him there's nothing wrong with his shoulder. And yet he was in intense pain all the time.
Yeah.
You know, literally, I put my hand on that for 30 seconds. And he was like, oh, I feel something going down my arm. Yeah. And that was it. And no more pain. So yeah, that was one of those where the presenting problem, which was intense pain in the shoulder, was 100% energy body related. Nobody had ever done all this physical stuff. Nobody had ever done what I did, which is to put my hand on the guy's shoulder and just, you know, give it a little bit of touch him. Not with my flesh hands, with my hands of energy, touching the energy body.
And so that shows us, doesn't it, that memory, I suppose, if I look at it that way, is looking at the memory that was held there in the energy body. And by
I would call it that literally an energy body
frequency.
A scar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the way I see that is like a complex motorway network and somebody threw a bomb into it.
Yeah.
And now you have literally all these strands kicking off. They're not connecting. There's a lack of power in that shoulder now. Wow. You know, there may be muscle tension because of that. And this muscle tension is what's creating the physical pain, something of that nature. So this is not esoteric to me. This is very real.
Yeah.
And practical. And if we can stay kind of reality-based with this and, you know, really, but then again, see, that's me. I'm German. I like things to be nice and orderly and neat and work correctly. But at the same time, there's also that beautiful thing that when you're getting higher on the energy chart and the energy body starts to expand and the heart starts to expand, you are thinking so much more fantastically beautifully.
Yeah.
Rather than just a bean counter, we now get into that realm where you are in expression, poetic, where you can embrace the universe, where you can formulate thoughts with such beauty and clarity that it brings love and logic together. And that's my favorite quote, is love without logic is insanity, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because at the highest energy states, plus 8, 9, 10, as we're going, it comes closer and closer together. And the type of logic, organic logic, that we then experience, organic intelligence, is so beautiful, and it is so much better than what the bean counters have to offer. It's so healing. It's so connecting to the greater truth in the universe. It is super, super spiritual.
Wow. So it is really mixing the spiritual with the science. And I love
bringing it back together, not mixing it, because
bringing it
bring
home.
it closer together, the concepts. And when they become perfect in their vibration, if you will, perfect love and perfect logic, you find that they are one and the same. They're not two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
They're the same thing, exactly the same thing. Love and logic become one and the same. And that is beautiful. And it creates totally different, far more humane systems of thought, of treatments, of schooling, of learning, of anything. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that's my thing. I saw the invisible something.
Yeah.
And I am telling people about the fact that they have real living energy bodies, and to stop neglecting them, to get out of that brainwashing that we're just these physical robots, bio-robots, as I heard one man describe it. That's just a lie. It's a big fat lie. It doesn't matter how many people have preached it. It's just simply not true.
So we have to come to a close now on this interview, but if there was one thing that you could say to people that are listening, what would the one thing be?
Your happiness matters. It matters far more than you ever thought it did.
Yeah.
Your happiness is not a luxury. Your happiness, and when I say happiness, I mean radiant happiness that you feel in every cell of your body.
Yeah.
That is the foundation for your physical health, and it is the foundation for being of value to other people. Because literally, the more energy you have, the more you have to give. The better you can support the ones that you love, the more beautiful your gardens will grow. And the more wonderful this incarnation will be. And can I add one more thing here?
Yep.
Yeah, it is my assertion that we do have an immortal soul, that this is a real energy system, and that the only thing that feeds this immortal soul is high positive experiences, moments of transcendent joy, of love, and of happiness.
And I love that. I totally adhere to
that.
that.
I think that's true. I think that I have convinced myself that this is true. So the fact that your happiness matters, your happiness does not just creates the reality you sit in right here and right now.
Yeah.
Your happiness is also the ticket to your afterlife. So your happiness matters. That doesn't mean you're being selfish. That does not mean at all that you are putting yourself first. What it does mean is that you take charge and move your goals towards your personal happiness. And when you do that, then the energy system wakes up, like a little kid that's been beaten up and neglected and kept in a dark cellar all its life. There's nothing to
I'm
eat.
All for getting excited about your life. I'm all for really understanding who you are in a much bigger way. So Silvia, thank you so much for joining me on the Spiritual Way.
You are very welcome, and thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
And if we can bring some more love and light into the world, then let's just keep doing that, I'd say.
And you can find Silvia at the Guild of Energists. So just give the website, Silvia, so people can find you.
It's GOE.ac.
Yeah, brilliant. So if you've got a spiritual awakening story or a turning point in your life that you'd like to share with us, please find me on susankennard.co.uk. I've had a great conversation with Silvia. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of The Spiritual Awakener. And if you want to hear all about my spiritual awakening, pop over to episode 1. Much love for now, and see you soon.
And